A legacy tarnished. Mike Jeffries and the sex trafficking allegations. Mike Jeffries built an empire on youth, beauty, and exclusivity. As the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, he cultivated an image obsessed with attractiveness and desirability. Now, that carefully crafted image lies in ruins. Jeffries faces shocking accusations, including sex trafficking charges. The allegations paint a disturbing picture of power abused and innocence exploited. Multiple men have come forward, alleging a pattern of manipulation and coercion. They claim Jeffries used his position and wealth to lure aspiring models and vulnerable young men into compromising situations. Promises of career advancement and lucrative opportunities masked a darker reality. These accusations strike at the heart of the fashion industry, exposing a potential underbelly of exploitation. The case has sent shockwaves through the industry and beyond. It raises serious questions about the abuse of power, particularly within the hierarchical structure of the fashion world. The investigation is ongoing, but the allegations alone have irrevocably tarnished Jeffries' legacy. The man who once dictated standards of beauty now faces accusations that could land him behind bars. The gravity of these charges cannot be overstated. Sex trafficking is a heinous crime that preys on the vulnerable. The accusations against Jeffries suggest a calculated pattern of abuse, using his status and influence to exploit aspiring models and young men eager to break into the industry. As the legal process unfolds, the world watches, waiting to see if the man who once defined American fashion will be held accountable for these horrific allegations. Unmasking the indictment. A web of exploitation. The indictment against Mike Jeffries reads like a blueprint for exploitation. It outlines a calculated system allegedly designed to lure and manipulate young men, often from vulnerable backgrounds. The details are disturbing, painting a picture of a predator who used his power to control and abuse. The indictment names several co-conspirators, including Jeffries' longtime partner, Matthew Smith. Smith, described as an active participant in the scheme, allegedly used his close relationship with Jeffries to gain the trust of their victims. The indictment also names individuals accused of acting as recruiters, identifying and targeting potential victims. Central to the alleged operation were lavish parties and events hosted by Jeffries. These gatherings, often held at exclusive locations, were presented as opportunities for networking and career advancement. However, according to the indictment, they were nothing more than elaborate traps designed to intoxicate and isolate victims. The indictment alleges that Jeffries and his co-conspirators used alcohol, drugs, and promises of career advancement to coerce their victims into sexual acts. The victims, many of whom were aspiring models or photographers, were led to believe that compliance was the key to success in the cutthroat world of fashion. The indictment paints a deeply disturbing picture, exposing the alleged mechanics of a sex trafficking ring operating at the highest levels of the fashion industry. False promises and coercion, the modus operandi. The accusations against Mike Jeffries reveal a calculated modus operandi, a pattern of behavior designed to entrap and exploit. At the heart of this scheme were false promises, dangling the allure of success in the fashion industry to lure unsuspecting victims. Aspiring models and photographers, often young and eager to please, were approached with offers of photo shoots, meetings with industry professionals, and even potential representation by prestigious agencies. These offers, too good to be true, were often the bait used to draw victims into Jeffries' orbit. Once within his circle, the manipulation intensified. Victims were showered with attention, praise, and expensive gifts, creating an environment of obligation and indebtedness. This cultivated a sense of loyalty and gratitude, making it more difficult for victims to recognize and resist the escalating exploitation. The indictment alleges that Jeffries used a combination of psychological manipulation, alcohol, and even drugs to break down his victims' resistance. He would often boast about his influence in the industry, reminding them that their careers rested in his hands. This created an atmosphere of fear and intimidation, making it nearly impossible for victims to refuse his advances. Section 4. The long arm of the law, potential consequences. The charges against Mike Jeffries are not to be taken lightly. Sex trafficking is a serious federal offense, carrying with it severe penalties, including lengthy prison sentences. The potential consequences for Jeffries and his alleged co-conspirators are significant, with the possibility of spending decades behind bars. The prosecution is expected to present a compelling case, armed with testimonies from multiple victims, as well as physical evidence and digital communications that corroborate the allegations. The defense will likely focus on discrediting the accusers and challenging the validity of the evidence. The trial, if it goes forward, will be closely watched, with legal experts predicting a lengthy and complex legal battle. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications for the fashion industry, potentially leading to increased scrutiny and calls for greater accountability within the industry. The charges against Jeffries serve as a stark reminder that no one is above the law, regardless of their wealth or status. The legal system is designed to hold perpetrators of such heinous crimes accountable for their actions. The potential consequences for Jeffries, if convicted, send a clear message that exploitation and abuse will not be tolerated. Section 5. Power and predation, exploitation in the fashion industry. The allegations against Mike Jeffries cast a dark shadow over the glamorous facade of the fashion industry. This case exposes a disturbing reality, the potential for power to be weaponized, particularly in an industry obsessed with youth, beauty, and status. For aspiring models and young people eager to break into the industry, the desire for success can make them vulnerable to exploitation. The pressure to conform, to please those in positions of power, can be immense. This power imbalance creates an environment ripe for abuse. Jeffries, with his position at the helm of a global fashion brand, wielded immense power within the industry. He had the ability to make or break careers, and according to the allegations, he used that power to manipulate and exploit those who sought his favor. This case underscores the need for greater awareness and protection for those working in the fashion industry. It highlights the importance of fostering a culture of respect and accountability, where aspiring models and young professionals feel empowered to speak out against predatory behavior without fear of jeopardizing their careers. Section 6. A reckoning for the fashion world, implications and the future. The case against Mike Jeffries represents a potential watershed moment for the fashion industry. It has ignited a long overdue conversation about exploitation, abuse of power, and the need for systemic change. The industry can no longer turn a blind eye to the vulnerability of its workforce. The allegations against Jeffries, if proven true, will have far-reaching consequences. Brands and agencies will be under intense scrutiny to examine their own practices and ensure they are fostering safe and equitable working environments. The days of turning a blind eye to misconduct are over. The industry must embrace transparency and accountability. Models and young professionals need clear channels to report abuse without fear of reprisal. A culture of silence only protects predators and perpetuates a cycle of abuse. This case has the potential to be a catalyst for real change. It has exposed the dark underbelly of an industry often more concerned with image than with the well-being of its workforce. The world is watching, waiting to see if the fashion industry will finally be held accountable for its sins and emerge from this reckoning a more just and equitable industry.